following teleconference is recorded for David Fisher, U.S. Hockey, Thursday, February 14th, 2013, beginning at 1 p.m. Central Time. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience in holding. We now have your speakers in conference. Please be aware that each of your lines is in a listen-only mode. At the conclusion of today's presentation, we'll open the floor for questions. At that time, instructions will be given as to the procedure to follow if you would like to ask a question. I will now turn the conference over to Mr. David Fisher. Sir, you may begin.
Brandon, thanks very much, and good day to everyone, wherever you may be across the United States or the world listening in here as we get set to celebrate Hockey Weekend Across America, presented by CCM here beginning tomorrow and running through Sunday. This is the 6th annual event in association with Hockey Weekend Across America. Of course, many of you know that we conduct a media teleconference with the topical issues of the day, and the topical issues of the day today involve us around the 1 year out of the Olympic and Paralympic Winter Games, and we have some speakers on the phone that you'll hear from in just a moment, speaking to those topics, including the announcement of our 2014 Paralympic Sled Hockey Team head coach. Hockey Weekend Across America has a theme each day. As many of you may know, tomorrow is Friday. Wear your favorite hockey jersey wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, all day, every day. And that's something pretty simple that everyone can participate in celebration of our great game. On Saturday, the theme is Try Hockey, and we'll find some 200 locations around the United States from coast to coast hosting Try Hockey for free events to give young kids a chance to try the sport of hockey for the very first time. We expect somewhere around 6,000 new kids will try the sport for the first time on Saturday. And then on Sunday, we finish with Celebrate Local Hockey Heroes Day, and the emphasis there is on local. There are so many in our communities across the country that we should honor, not just on this weekend, but throughout the hockey season. Of course, you also know that Hockey Day in America on NBC will take place on Sunday in conjunction with Hockey Weekend Across America, with terrific coverage by NBC, 3 NHL games, and all kinds of stories weaved in about the fabric of our sport as part of that broadcast day. So we look forward to that. We encourage you to visit hockeyweekendacrossamerica.com, kind of the headquarters for the event, and also we'd like to see your photos, those of you taking pictures and whatnot, using are submitting them through our Twitter and Facebook sites, and those of you that tweet, use the hashtag HWAA. We begin today with the introduction of our head coach of our 2014 Paralympic Sled Hockey Team. And to make that introduction, I'd like to turn the call over to Jim Johansson. I think most of you know Jim as a two-time Olympian by title at USA Hockey. He is the Assistant Executive Director of Hockey Operations, which means essentially anything to do with hockey. He's leading the charge, including the management of our teams at all levels on the international stage. So without further ado, I'll turn the call over to Jim.
Thanks, Dave, and thanks everyone for joining us today. And certainly, as Dave mentioned, looking forward to the Hockey Weekend Across America. It's my pleasure today to introduce our head coach of our 2014 Paralympic Sled Hockey Team, Jeff Sauer, who is currently the head coach of our team, will be named is our head coach for the sled team. And I think Jeff has a real long history with USA Hockey, and certainly is a guy that is very familiar with our organization in all aspects of it, from the national team, and certainly as we built into our relationship with sled hockey and overseeing that was a natural fit for us when he initially got involved, and then led to much success on the ice. For those that don't know, Jeff is in his second season as the head coach of our sled national team. The team has won the last 3 major championships in which they've played, and Jeff has been a part of those events. I think historically a 31-year career as a head coach at both Colorado College and in Wisconsin, and a guy that has been involved with U.S. national teams at a wide variety of levels, from the World Championships to things like the Goodwill Games, the Pravda Cup, and the Tampere Cup, and most recently involved with the IHF in discipline matters. So he's got a very wide background as it relates to hockey internationally and certainly within USA Hockey. I think specific to both the sled team and disabled hockey, if you will, he's had a very long history working with the hearing impaired and has coached the U.S. deaf ice hockey teams on several occasions. And I think with his ability to communicate and so much background in so many parts of hockey, and also dealing with a unique sport like sled hockey is, and some of the things that players face in that on and off the ice. Jeff was a natural fit for us, so today it's my real pleasure to introduce Jeff Sauer as the head coach of the 2014 Paralympic Sled Hockey Team.
JJ, thanks very much. I'm really honored to be selected for this position. I've been dealing with disabled athletes for a number of years, starting with Stan Mikita and Irv Tianabek, the hearing impaired program. I've been involved with them for close to 35, 36 years, and moving into the sled hockey here a couple of years ago has really been an honor. I'd like to thank JJ, also JJ O'Connor, who is our disabled section chairman under USA Hockey. Send out a thank you to him as well to be involved along with USA Hockey. Also a special thank you to the former coach, Ray Maluda, who started the program, and the guys won the past Olympics and set the standard for us by winning a gold medal in Vancouver in the Sled Paralympics a couple of years ago. I've been with the program now for about 2.5 years, and it's been very, very rewarding to see the type of athletes that we have and the commitment that they make in relation to progressing and working towards the goal of being an Olympic athlete. We've had a number of very fun wins over the course of time against in international competition. We do have a development team as well, which we've played some competition against them, and it's made for tremendous camaraderie and chemistry between the 35 to 40 players that we have to pick from for our national team. Looking forward to Sochi and the Paralympic Games this weekend. We happen to be up in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. We're taking on the Canadian Sled Hockey Team, which is probably our major competition on the international level. We're going to play them in a 3-game series. We've played them twice already this year. We're 1-1 going into tonight's game, so hopefully we can come out on top this weekend. But these are specifically training games, getting ready for down the road in Sochi. Couple of the players that we have on our team that are notable players that have really come along and really progressed very well. As any coach will tell you, if you've got a good goaltender, you've got a good chance to win hockey games. And I think that in the last Olympics in Vancouver, winning the gold medal, he did not allow a goal in the round robin or the medal round games. So he is an integral part of our team, and he certainly is, as I said, probably, I think anyway, the best goaltender in the world. Taylor Lipset and Taylor Chase are two players that have been around the program a number of years. Both of them have been in the captaincy position for us and do an excellent job. Lipset is a forward that's a very, very natural goal scorer and moves the puck extremely well. Taylor Chase is a young man that played stand-up hockey over the course of his career, had a very serious back injury, and has been in the sled ever since in terms of playing sled hockey, and brings a great wealth of knowledge to the game as a former player, but also as a good leader both on and on the ice for our team. Believe it or not, the youngest player on the team is a young man named Declan Farmer. He's from the state of Florida, which is not known for its hockey ability, but it just goes along with the theme of the weekend with hockey across America. Declan is just 15 years old, and he's a double amputee in a sled, and he is unbelievably good from a hockey sense standpoint. For a young man that's just getting himself wet in the sport of hockey and sled hockey, he has really progressed and is going to be a major player for us over the course of many years ahead. We have been fortunate. We've had a few players that have returned from military service that have had injuries or lost limbs and so forth in military action, and they have really formed a tremendous leadership base on our team. We have 4 players that have military experience, and it's unbelievable the discipline they bring to our unit and the discipline that they show on the ice, which, as any coach will tell you, is very important when you get into heavy competition. Our competition on the international level, as I mentioned, is Canada, Norway, Korea. Have come on and played extremely strong in international competition, getting better and better. We're going to Seoul, Korea in April to play in the World Championships, and hopefully we'll defend our gold medal win in Norway from last year. And next July in Buffalo, New York, we will have our tryout camp for the final selection of our Olympic team, and hopefully we've got a group of about 35 to 40 players that will try out, and hopefully the competition and so forth will give the coaching staff an opportunity to really evaluate the players and pick the best possible players for the Olympics. Our staff is great. Guy Goslin, who played at the University of Minnesota Duluth, is involved with USA Hockey. Dan Brennan, who works for USA Hockey, is kind of our director of operations and team leader type of thing, and Mike Cortez and Joel Isaacson are backup guys in terms of trainer and equipment. And last but not least, I'd like to throw out to my good friend Katie Stone and wish her all the best of luck as the Olympic coach on the women's side, and we'll be 100% behind watching her success as they move forward for the Olympics. But in closing, it's a great situation for me in terms of I'm very honored to be involved and look forward to having a lot of success on the international scene and looking forward to Sochi next year.
Jeff, thanks very much. And we go from one of our greatest coaches in our country to another. As Jeff mentioned, Katie Stone is the head coach of our U.S. women's national team currently, a position she's held since 2010-11, and she will be the Olympic coach for the United States on the women's side in 2014 in Sochi. She's the most accomplished coach in NCAA Division I women's ice hockey, really at any level in our country. Currently, she's in her 19th season as the head coach of Harvard University, and I'd like to turn the call now over to Coach Stone. Katie?
Thank you very much, Dave, and congratulations, Coach Sauer. Well-deserved honor, and I know how much fun that you've always had working with USA Hockey, and certainly always encouraged me to stay involved, and I wish you the very best of luck. I think it's just an awesome experience, and what a great opportunity for these athletes and for you to compete. So congratulations to you, Coach.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And again, as Dave mentioned, we're less than a year out from the opening games in Sochi for the 2014 Olympics, and we're really excited about where our program is at this point. And since 2010, we've done a lot of work in bringing players into the program, to hopefully developing them as best possible, giving them opportunities to compete and perform, and put their best foot forward for the country's best. So it's been a great process. We've got some unbelievable players and personalities in the program right now, and our next step here is we're looking forward to a pre-Worlds tryout in Lake Placid right before we head to Ottawa for the World Championships in April. So we're headed in the right direction, and then the next step from there will be the Olympic tryouts, which will be in Lake Placid in June. And again, I think that all the kids are primed to play their best and compete hard and put themselves in a position to make an Olympic squad with the ultimate goal of winning a gold medal. I mean, we've talked a tremendous amount about it's not enough to be on a roster. We really have a vision with a goal of Olympic gold medal. So I think everybody understands it's a bigger deal than making an Olympic team, and they've got a lot to accomplish and to prove in the world of women's ice hockey. So we're looking forward to it. It's an exciting time, and I certainly I have enjoyed my involvement. We've got some great people around, assistant coaches, just support staff has been unbelievable to me, to the players, and so again, I think we've got the resources that we need to put our best foot forward in Sochi.
Katie, thanks very much. And as we head into Hockey Weekend across America, we it's always fun to look back and see where we've been. We took a look back 25 years just to kind of see where the sport has come, and it was interesting to note that back in 1988 we had approximately 185,000 players in our country. Today that number is over 510,000, so indeed there are a lot more people playing the game at all levels, including today where hockey is played in all 50 states in our country. So I think all hockey enthusiasts certainly can be proud of that fact, and a lot of people to credit for that. I'd like to turn the call back now over to Jim Johansson, and as you know, Jim, as I mentioned before, is involved in the management of all our teams that we put on the ice internationally, and very closely aligned, of course, with the men's Olympic team, and he will bring you up to date about plans moving forward in relation to the 2014 U.S. Olympic men's ice hockey team. Jim?
Yeah, thanks, David, everybody. Again, as Katie mentioned, and Jeff being roughly a year out, obviously there's a lot of anticipation building for Sochi, and I think coming off the heels of Vancouver and the hockey there and the exposure for that on the men's side, we're obviously feel very excited about the potential of NHL involvement, obviously, and all of the countries having best-on-best competition in Sochi. As we're building up for it, again, we'll work closely with our NHL advisory group. We have 6 current general managers and a group of eight general managers from NHL teams that are assisting us with our national team, which includes our World Championships and will be inclusive of Sochi. We will name a general manager and a management team specific to the team in Sochi, but we'll obviously await everything that's going on with the National Hockey League and the NHLPA, the IHF and the IOC before we make any moves along that line. Though I am working closely with that group, obviously, as we build up to Sochi. We tentatively have plans right now to have a orientation camp, similar in nature what we've done the past 3 Olympics, roughly a 4-day camp with just practices and somewhere between 35 to 40 players at that camp. Again, for us, most likely that would occur in late August. And I think as it relates to timing of things like the management group and head coach and things like that, we're really just going to wait out all of the negotiations that are ongoing right now with all the interested parties, if you will, before any of that's done. I would anticipate that anything, obviously the management decisions would be made first, and the coaching decisions would most likely be made after the NHL playing season and playoffs to just allow everybody that's still playing and everything to have their focus on those teams and not take it off that. I think if we, under the premise, obviously, of NHL involvement in Sochi, I think the competition has spoke for itself. The first 3 years, there were 6 different countries in the gold medal game of the first 3 Olympics with NHL teams, and certainly ourselves in Canada have been the repeat teams into that gold medal game, and our goal is obviously to just change the result in the last game. I think it was Vancouver was so great for hockey on so many fronts, and I think from USA Hockey's perspective, very happy with the way our team played and how it represented the game. And as we build into Sochi, I think a lot of those trademarks and characteristics would be in the USA team again, and certainly understand the competition that would be on site there. I think the other uniqueness to Sochi is the venue set up there. For those that are not familiar, all of the venues from the ice perspective are in one big cluster, if you will, and within a 20-minute walk, you could walk through several of the venues. So I think from a fan's perspective, and I think from the athlete's perspective, it's going to really feel that much more like the Olympics in that players can certainly be close to what their venue is, and there's very little transportation issues. But secondly, to go cheer on other fellow Olympians in other sports that are really close by, and I think that'll be one of the trademarks of Sochi, as well as the rich tradition of hockey there. So. With that, we're obviously, excited. We certainly hope that everything gets solved on the player front with the NHL involvement, and I'll turn it back over to Dave.
All right, Jim, thanks very much. And On the international front, I think as everybody remembers, from 2010, the U.S. was the only nation to have its men's, women's, and sled hockey team in the gold medal game, and obviously we're proud of that fact. As a matter of fact, in all three disciplines that Jim mentioned, 2 out of the last 3 Olympics. On the men's side, the United States has won a medal all 3 times on both the women's and Paralympic side as well. So something good to build on, and hard to believe that we're just about a year out from the game's beginning. At this time, I'd like to turn it back over to Brandon, who is our lead operator, and he'll take us around with your questions. And if you just wouldn't mind making sure we know who the question you're asking is for here on the call, that would be appreciated. Brandon?
Yes, sir. At this time, we'll open the floor for questions. If you would like to ask a question, please press the star key, followed by the 1 key on your touch-tone phone now. Questions will be taken in the order in which they are received. If at any time you'd like to remove yourself from the questioning queue, please dial star 2. Again, to ask a question, dial star 1 now. Our first question will come from John Powers of Boston Globe. Please go ahead.
Yes, this is for Jim. Jim, everyone's assuming that the NHL will come to an agreement to participate again. If they do not, or if this is taking some time, does USA Hockey have a plan B that you can fall back upon to get a different player pool?
Yes and no. I mean, the bottom line is no matter what the outcome of that, we'll pursue the best available player. And from my standpoint, I've thought about it a lot. Obviously, I think my first call would be still with the NHL and players on AHL contracts, if that's an option. And again, I do not think that would be an option because it puts a lot of teams and organizations in a tough scenario because there's a lot of countries, players in those areas. For USA Hockey, the 2 other main pools of talent would be those playing over in Europe and the NCAA ranks. And so I think in order of level of play and all that, it'd be a real balance between the 2, but I think in this day and age the goal would be to get the best available player, and with that I do not see us in a position of the old days of forming a touring team and have a team that prepares for 6 months. I think it would be more about getting access to the best available player and probably having a couple international competitions prior to the Olympics.
Right, thank you.
Thank you. Our next question will come from Jeff Klein of New York Times. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, this is for Jim again. When it comes to choosing a coach, and I know you still have to choose a coach for the men's team, how much of a factor is it that the coach be an ambassador for USA Hockey and for hockey in general, or is that entirely a kind of a secondary consideration?
Well, I think it's part and parcel of the whole program. I mean, whether we're talking about Olympics or, our U.S. national junior team or the sled team or the women's team, we obviously, USA Hockey in the end is a grassroots organization that does put together national teams, and we expect all of our staff, being head coaches and everyone involved, to represent USA Hockey in the best light and showcase the game for those that are aspiring to get to the level that they're at. So, I think the bottom line, we have to have people that are experienced and we feel can get the best out of the players, and I think with that comes the natural expectation of representing everybody involved in it in the best way.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for your question. Again, if you have a question, please dial star 1 on your touch-tone phone now. Our next question will come from Rachel Blunt of Minneapolis Star-Tribune. Please go ahead.
Hi, my question is for Katie. I'd like to know, can you take us through the rest of the timetable leading up to the Olympics for the women's side? After you do the tryout camp in Lake Placid, what happens from there? Will you be in residence at all?
Yes. Hi, Rachel. We will be in a handful of different places. We're going to be in the greater Boston area for part of the time. Starting after Labor Day, we'll be spending some time in Blaine, Minnesota. We'll spend some time in Lake Placid, and certainly there'll be a number of games that we'll be playing throughout North America against Canada, and then we're looking forward to the 4 nations that we're hosting in Lake Placid in November, and so that ought to be exciting. And then there'll be a number of different games that hasn't been officially sorted out yet, but so it'll be a busy time. I don't think we're going to be have an opportunity to grow weeds in any one place because we'll be traveling quite a bit, but doing a lot in the greater Boston area and throughout our country.
And Katie, would you expect that your roster will be fairly similar to the roster from Worlds last year, or do you think there might be some significant turnover this year?
I think you'll see some new faces, certainly, and I think that's really good for the game, and it's certainly good for our program and opportunities, kids taking advantage of opportunities that they get, and so I imagine that there'll be a lot of familiar faces, but there'll be some new ones as well.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your question. Again, if you have a question, please dial *1 on your touch-tone phone now. We're currently holding for questions.
Let me jump in here, Brandon, because I did get a question from a media member that could not be on the call, and it was to Katie, and the question was, who are the top college players in the country, particularly those that would be top candidates for the Patty Kazmaier Memorial Award?
Okay. I certainly think Amanda Kessel has to be at the top of that list. She's having an unbelievable season, dynamic player. I'm speaking, this is my own opinion based on what I watch. I think Megan Bozak is another player from the University of Minnesota that's really creating so much of their success this year, and just strong leadership, stability, for in large part a very young team that they have in a lot of ways, which is quite scary actually. Some other kids, goaltender Nora Ratu from Minnesota as well, Brianna Decker, Brianna Jenner from Cornell, Jillian Dempsey from Harvard's having a good year. Kelly Babstock is another young woman from Quinnipiac who's having a tremendous year as well. So there are a lot. I personally would say that Amanda Kessel is got to be the front runner because it's off the charts for her, and just such a dynamic player. She's really, really developed into a three-zone player, which is awesome for her and awesome for USA Hockey.
Thank you. We have a question from Andy Baggett of Wisconsin State Journal. Please go ahead.
Hi there. This is questions for Jeff. Jeff, have you always aspired to coach in the Olympics? I mean, you've done so many things at so many different levels. Is this kind of a pinnacle for you, getting a chance to do this?
Well, I've had a couple other opportunities, Andy. Along the way, I was asked to be an assistant coach on an Olympic staff a few years ago and so forth, and I made the decision to stick with the university at the time. Probably was, in terms of getting a chance to go to the Olympics and stuff, probably was a bad decision on my part, but we ended up having a pretty good year at the University of Wisconsin, so it worked out okay. But this is kind of a natural progression for me. Being involved with the disabled athletes and so forth, and the rewarding experience that I have with them, certainly it's an honor to coach at the Olympics, and I'm really looking forward to it.
As a follow-up, Jeff, I can't imagine another coaching assignment that's more humbling than this one. Is that a fair way of looking at it?
Well, let me put it this way. It may be humbling to everybody on the outside, but on the inside, if you were around these players and being involved on a day-to-day basis and seeing them in their normal lives and so forth, it's incredible the confidence and the attitude that they have. It's not a woe-is-me situation whatsoever. It's a positive interaction amongst each other, plus the positive way they put their lives out in front of people. I mean, just the fact of getting on an airplane, hauling their equipment around, the little things like that are natural to a able-bodied person are a challenge for these guys, and it's absolutely no remorse or anything of that nature. It's all positive, move ahead, make fun of each other type of thing. So, it's humbling to be around them. It's incredible if people haven't seen what they can do on the ice and how skilled they are and how adapted they are to the sport. But to them, as individual players and so forth, they just go out with the attitude, hey, we're going to be the best in the world. And from a coach's perspective, that's certainly a good attitude to have, and it's a great attitude to coach.
Your voice almost sounds like you've gotten younger. Have they done that to you?
I don't age at all, Andy. You know that. I'm trying to stay as young as I possibly can, but no, just a challenge and being involved. It's rejuvenated me in terms of coaching because these guys really listen. They're like sponges. They want to learn. They want to get better, and it's really been a rewarding experience.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm showing no further questions. I'll turn it back to you.
Sounds good, Brandon. Thanks very much. And ladies and gentlemen, appreciate your participation. And to those of you listening, a lot to look forward to, as you heard here today. If anybody has any further needs, certainly the media on the line know how to get a hold of us. I'm not, because there are people listening across the world that are fans, I'm not going to give out my phone number here on this broadcast. But thanks again. Have a great day, everyone. And we look forward to the journey ahead. Happy Hockey Weekend across America.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This concludes today's call. You may now disconnect your